Did you print off copies?
Oh, I got it on
Paper?
no.
Okay.
I looked at it already. Okay. I just like to.
Oh, okay, yeah, good deal, yeah, I forgot.
It's a wine franchise in California.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know how to get them all the wine they need.
yes, and shipping.
Yeah.
So do we do anything different on this than we did last time?
They went all, those board members have been down. They wanted to come back to this, why they take it.
I got Troy's not gonna be rich up there. Son of a baseball.
All the way to the district.
It's now 6 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and open up the Martinsville Board of Zoning Appeals, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. I'll start with a roll call.
Mary Ann Shell. Here. Julie Jennings. Here. Myself, Marilyn Zeiderwitz. And Desson Miller. You're here,
I
right?
am here. So we have election of officers for calendar year 2025, vice chairman position. Would anybody like to nominate themselves?
I'll nominate Julie Jennings for vice chairman.
I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to take that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Over to you.
You do.
It's usually all right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll nominate Mary Ann Shell then.
Are you fine with that, Mary Ann?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So has everybody had time to view and study the minutes from last meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the old business, docket number BZA number 25005, development standards variance, reduce side yard. It is set back from 10 to 6 feet 2 inches. The address is 1580 Josephine Street, lot 28. John E. Miles subdivision, owner is CBO LLC. Would anybody like to speak on that behalf? Would anybody like to speak against? You can come on up, just state your name, and go ahead and come up here and state your name. And there's a sign-in sheet right
Okay, I'm Franklin Littell. I live across the street from the lot. And I just wondered if there was a better diagram and what the group was trying to do.
Diagram would be presented by them. I don't think there's a diagram changed. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, so this was tabled from last meeting, if you remember, and they were given notice that we would hear this tonight. Applicants were instructed to come back. They're not here, so you folks are free to do with that what you want. I think you asked for additional information last time for them to bring back. I don't think we've received anything. Office hasn't received anything, have we?
No, sir.
All right. So their application is here. Obviously, they had drafted some proposed findings that were attached to the documents they presented last time. And of course, their diagram that they had presented last time, which was attached to their application. I know that's what you folks had some questions about, so.
Yeah, I have this if you wanted to look at it, just the same.
That's the
as
same one?
Yeah, same one, but it could refresh your memory.
It's hard to tell what they were trying to do. Maybe they decided to do something to this lot.
We did make a site visit and saw the stakes that were there. Is that an accurate representation of what they are trying to do, Mr. Strader?
Julie, I'm definitely having a hard time.
I said we did make a site visit. We saw the lot staked out.
Correct?
Is that an accurate version of what you believe they've asked to do?
It is accurate, yes. It was done by a surveyor.
Okay.
Okay, well, if they build something to fit the lot, they don't need to change the variances or anything. They just need a building permit.
Well, I think that they're asking for the variance because they want a different setback on the
correct.
side that we saw.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure the direction we can go, but what we saw was an acceptable use of that lot. There was room for it, and in my opinion, so let's restate that. In my opinion, there was room for what they wanted to do. It did not create a hazard as far as we were concerned about it,
Right.
a hazard as far as cars where they were going to be parked and that sort of thing. And so after having seen that and seen it staked out the way
Okay.
it was, we didn't see that I didn't see it as something.
My
that was-
concern now is the direction they've got the house laid out. Or if you can interpret what they're wanting to do compared to their drawing. They're wanting to run parking for 2 apartments onto a side street, which is Victor Drive. That's only 15 feet wide to start with. So it's just a weird situation where the cars would be coming through and trying to get through the street with whatever parking the renters might do.
It appeared to be typical of that area that cars were parked in the configuration that they are indicating that they were going to put the garage. I think the
well,
house, the other house.
What's there now is just an empty old hayfield.
But what I'm saying is other homes in that area, it appeared that was typical of the kind of gravel spaces, is that right?
More typical neighborhood would be parking areas off of Josephine Street instead of Victor Drive. If they were to put parking on each side of the apartment building off of Josephine Street, it wouldn't interfere with that stop sign and the traffic right there. You follow me?
I do.
Okay.
When because I was out there with you.
Right.
And I agree with her. There would be enough room to park vehicles, and I don't see it where it would affect the,
In my opinion, it did not appear that it would be a major issue there.
There's an issue there now with cars passing in the area where their driveway would be put in.
When you say passing?
Passing each other direction. If there's a truck coming of any size, they have to stop and let another car come through that area before they can come through. Like I said, the street's only 15 feet wide.
Right.
If they were to access it from Josephine Street, it wouldn't put a hazard there at that stop sign.
it'd be nice if they was here to talk on their behalf.
And that's true.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of corrections you need to know. We talked about Victor Drive, how wide it is. It happens to be the widest road we have in the city. It's 60 feet altogether. It's a strange road. What's shown on this map, the drawing, you don't have Josephine Street labeled. That's the major street. That's the street you're going to front. It's really not a side setback at all. It's front setback.
Front and rear setback,
I
the
don't
rest
disagree
are-
that this will work with what the committee has seen, but just to correct the records, those are corrections. It's Josephine Street, it's a side street, and Victor is 60 feet.
So what the board could do is you could entertain a motion. You also have the ability to table this. Your rules say that you have to take action within 90 days of the date it was first brought before you. So the date it was first brought before you would have been February the 25th, I believe.
Okay.
So your May meeting,
28.
so you would have time, you could do the May meeting. Let's see. Yeah, you'd be close.
Will they be notified again that they should have appeared?
We could reach out and tell them that we tabled it one more time because they didn't show up and they need to be back at the next meeting, or, you guys are going to take whatever action you're going to take, so.
Okay.
I think I would rather do that.
Okay. I make a motion, we table the request until the next meeting date, and that the petitioners are notified that they need to be here, otherwise we'll take whatever action, we'll act on it at that point in time, and that'll be the last opportunity.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So now to new business, be docket number BZA 25008, land use variance to allow a pavilion to rent in a light industrial zoning. Address is New Blue Bluff Road. Legal description is S33 T12 R1E, PTSE Northwest, 12.48 acres. Owners Jeffrey Allen and Jeannie Martin. Would anybody like to speak on that behalf?
Good afternoon. Do I need to sign in on?
Please, and state your name.
My name is Elliot Burkett.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Elliot Burkett. Bear with me, this is my first time here. Or speaking, I should say. So what we are looking to do is, one, just get confirmation that it is the zoning that it says it is, because when I look at the Morgan County parcel, it shows it being as a 502, so I wanted to confirm if we're wanting to put a pavilion up there and kind of tie into some of the amenities that we have downtown. We're looking at something that can host 25 to 30 people for wedding events, pictures, those types of things. What we need to do moving forward, whether it be rezoning it, or if we even need to rezone it before we start that process.
Is it I-1? Have we checked and seen if it's I-1?
I believe it's an I.
It's an I. Well, you would either need to rezone or you would need to get a variance. So right now, what you have is asked the Board of Zoning Appeals to issue a use variance to be able to operate a wedding rental, I guess is how it's been, build a partition to rent out for small weddings or gatherings, and then also to add cabin rentals in the future. So that's the request as far as a use variance. What is basically the path has been taken right now is that it'll stay the industrial zoning, but it would be a variance to operate whatever it is the board decides to give you permission to operate. So that's how it currently is couched. You always have an option to say, well, we'd rather do the rezone, and therefore, if you do that, you're going to go before the Plan Commission as opposed to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And then you have to also get final approval from the City Council.
This is similar to what you just did in the last month, property just very nearby.
Oh, with the retail sales property.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure and clarify that it's not a campground. It is short-term rentals for over the weekend. So I didn't know how, if that changed with the being at light commercial, or if we should just get a variance to operate that way versus the zoning.
Chairman, if I may, and maybe the board members are viewing this, about near the next to the last page is their renderings of possible, somewhat of an idea of what they're proposing.
See next to the last page.
Next to the last, yes.
So there'll be a pavilion that's a separate building, correct? And then do you have a proposal for the number of cabins or?
It's going to be a multi-phase, so it's not like we're going to be trying to do everything at once. I would say it's going to be anywhere from 8 to 12, but again, demand dictates that. That is why I came up to see how we should start. We want to start with the pavilion because, there is Main Street. There's already a kind of a venue there, so we're trying to add more of that to the city. So we would start first with the pavilion.
And how many, I want to say cabins, rental cabins?
Again, the projection is 8 to 12, but that also is on demand, where we can put those structures once we kind of have figured out exactly where we need to go from here as far as zoning or variances, then we would be able to get a better number.
Is that something that should be broken apart? Can it be approved together like this?
Well, you'd have to be very specific.
That should be a condition of what you do.
Right, okay. So then it would have to be a separate approval for those, okay. Can you give me, general location, give me landmarks, what's around this, because I don't know exactly where this actually
Yeah,
is.
so this is just north of downtown, right before you get to Atkins on the right. It's kind of a hidden gem back there. It's the old brick quarry. So there's a pond up there, well, a lake really. I mean, it's a decent sized pond.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. It's right before you get to Atkins on the right-hand side. It's kind of a hidden gem. You've got to go up a hill, a gravel
There's
drive.
a whole goal. So if you look to the, so if you're going out of town and you're on Blue Bluff Road, there's a big grass hill, correct? And then there's like a dam for the water.
So this is right after that old tattoo parlor. So if you're
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
building, it's the next gravel road to the right-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's,
You guys just bought that then?
Yes, they had just purchased it.
yeah. So it's literally right beside that building, as I remember driving
Correct.
that way. You literally turn right and it would go up the hill there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Was that was all a part of Peterson's, wasn't that, no, that wasn't part of Bill
If
Peterson's?
not, it's two different.
Two separate, okay. Okay.
So how it's zoned right now, is he able to have the gazebo?
Well, he would, whatever they decide they want to ask you permission to have now, but it does need to be very specific. If they aren't ready to do these cabins, then it probably ought to be, hey, right now, we're going to give a variance for the pavilion. Once you're ready to build cabins, then you need to come back and ask for your use variance to be extended. And that's really, I think, where you're at. A couple of things I have. First of all, the findings of fact that were attached, I don't believe comply with your ordinance as to something that the board could consider approving. As the board knows, when you grant a use variance, you have to be able to find that these 5 requirements, and they have to be all 5 requirements, meet your statutory responsibility. And to me, at least 2 or 3 of these are too general. They're not specific enough for you guys to grant a variance on. So that's number 1 issue that I see. The other, on behalf of the city, that roadway, I'd be very interested to know what your plans are for that roadway, because for years, water has ran down that roadway and into Blue Bluff Road. And it has done a lot of damage to Blue Bluff in addition to carrying a lot of debris out on the road. The city does have plans this spring or early summer to resurface Blue Bluff Road. So it's going to be very brand new pavement, and the last thing that we need is that debris coming off that hill on the road. So I don't know what your plans would be as far as the surface goes for that road. In my way of thinking, an ideal solution would be to put a culvert at the bottom next to Blue Bluff. You put a grate system where you collect the water into a grate that then runs into the city's ditch beside the road, which would probably require the road to be paved, in my opinion. So that would be, I think, a solution that I think the city would, we've got to have some sort of plan, because the water cannot continue to come off onto Blue Bluff.
Correct.
So that's the other challenge, I think, that I see from that perspective.
Okay. Excuse me, that is easy enough for me. What I can do is create, I can update the findings of fact. I can give you a better layout of what we decide to do with the water runoff. We do, of course, know there is debris there that needs to be cleaned up, and it is kind of swampy on that side of the road anyway, so that's part of our plan. But at this meeting, I just needed to know, moving forward, what are our best steps to move forward, especially since we have a lot of separate little buildings. If we need to try to get approval on the main pavilion first, and then once we've got that going, everything is as successful as we think it should be, then we can come back and do kind of either all 8, all 12, or change that use to allow us to build incrementally, as I said before, as demand sees fit.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you want to come back with a pavilion and 5, I mean, whatever you guys want to come back with, but I think whatever the board eventually acts on, you got to be very specific.
Okay.
And you got to know exactly what it is they're acting on.
And I need to be clear, is there a need to have that rezoned if they do in fact add the cabins, or?
There's not a need to have it rezoned because you could allow this use by way of a variance, okay? So they could do it with a variance of use.
Okay. What would be, again, the number of attendees that you would expect just with the pavilion?
The pavilion is planned to hold 25 to 30.
Okay.
And we've got plenty of parking up there, so it's not like we would have any issues at the roadside or anything like that.
Okay.
It's a really small wedding, 30 feet.
Correct.
Right.
An intimate,
And
retreat.
I understand that, that's a good idea. The only thing I'm thinking about is just accessing that road. There's quite a bit of road work that would have to be done to make that passable and to make it safe, I think. I don't know if that's the right word. It just seems to me, and I've not ever driven up there, but I don't know how wide it is. I don't know how much work you see it having to do that, but it seems to me that might be something that would need to have, as you said, maybe more attention in another, if this were to be tabled.
Absolutely. And we've got probably 25 to 30 feet before we get to the road. That's personal use. That splits between 2 parcels. So there's no need for people to stop on the road. They can actually pull off of Blue Bluff before they start to climb that hill.
Okay.
So as far as a safety concern, there
Okay.
shouldn't be any issues there, especially once we remove that. We'll have to add that culvert on what would be the east side of that driveway. So we'll be shaving those trees so the line of sight should be fine. All of those things should be pretty much taken care of.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, prior to any building permits being issued, you'll have to go stormwater, we have an ordinance for stormwater, and that prevention plan is pretty detailed in nature, including drawings, showing how they're gonna do the driveway, showing what the culvert's gonna be at the end, the construction drive, so there's quite a bit we'll need to see before they actually issue any building permits.
So even if they get the variance from us, they're still not gonna be doing, still not gonna be doing
Still
it.
have to do stormwater, yes.
Would it be, this is just thinking outside the box, would it be better to wait till you have all that, or?
We can, yeah, absolutely. We can table it until the next meeting, and I can design all of those
Time
things.
to get all your stuff, or all your ducks in a row.
Correct. And then would you prefer that we try to just do the rezone for everything? That way you've got designs and plans for the 8 to 12 cottages?
Probably better.
Okay,
And it definitely, the stages and kind of projections in terms of what's the earliest that you would consider adding those things.
okay.
That would be good too. Because I agree, there isn't enough information here to really get a good picture, I don't think, so.
But when you present it, have like a picture where you're parked, where you're gonna park the cars at, an aerial of, like a drawing of the actual, I want to say gazebo, pavilion.
Correct.
And then for your cabins or your rentals, or where they would be laid out too, or where you think would be a good idea later on, that way everything's straight out, and then they can approve everything all.
Yeah, it's just a large parcel to try to put it on that one sheet of paper, so I'll try to break it down.
And multiple papers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want to speak? Make sure to sign in and say your name.
Okay.
My name is Jeannie Martin. Jeff and I purchased this property because it's a beautiful, magical place. We had no idea it existed in Martinsville. It is an old rock quarry. There are 100-foot rock walls. It's beautiful and amazing. We want to utilize the waterfront. We would love to put a pavilion for micro weddings. That's the idea here, for very small, intimate gatherings, as well as family reunions, whatever we can rent that out for. That is a wholesome idea. I just wanted to make sure that, Julie, that you understand that in that area, on that driveway, it does go all the way up to the barn. That's not us. We're right off. So when you turn off of Blue Bluff into that drive, we're on the left.
Okay.
So we go into the left. We would not have to redo that whole, you see, when I just wanted to, when we were talking about that, I wanted to just give a better idea of where that's at. So we feel like this is going to be a destination wedding venue. This would be like people that are searching to go to Colorado or somewhere in the mountains that's beautiful and nobody else has. It's right here. It's 1 minute from the brick house on Main. 1 minute. I'd love to see sidewalks come to it. We want luxury cabin rentals, things that people are going to seek out. Not, I don't want even children there for that matter. We want walking trails. We want to be able to visit the downtown area. I just want to put Martinsville on the map, really, and it's such a beautiful place that I hope that you can make a trip out there. It is gated, but you can walk around it and go check it out and see what we're wanting to do here. So that's all I have. Thank you.
So back to our previous conversation, would you like to table it, give you guys some more time to get all that in the works?
Yeah, I believe that's what should be taken care of. I'll have more information before the next meeting. I'll send it all out, of course, do a more detailed findings of facts, kind of a better layout of what the pavilion would look like, the parking, where the cottages would be located, and kind of a design of one or two, because they are, of course, all going to be different slightly. But yeah, we can absolutely do that.
Okay.
Make a motion that we table docket number 25008 until the next meeting, at which time the petitioners will submit more information to clarify, and we'll be here to answer questions.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's been to table. So the next meeting for the BZA would be Tuesday, May 28th, same place, same time. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye. We need to sign the minutes.
Yes.
It's close enough to 7 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and start the meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Planning Commission meeting for the city of Martinsville, Tuesday, April the 22nd, 2025. Meeting is called to order. First up is roll call.
Richard Baston,
Here.
Steve Bodie,
Here.
James Burkhart,
Here.
Joe Disney,
Present.
Richard Nernall,
Present.
Caleb Forrester,
Here.
Rick Heacock,
Here.
Ann Miller,
Present.
Jason Scott,
Here.
Troy Swan, and myself, Marilyn Siderwitz.
Okay, next up is presentation of minutes dated February the 25th, which was our last meeting, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes? Are there any corrections?
Yes. In reference to the first item on the docket, PC 25002, the last paragraph of the item. The paragraph that starts Scarlett Andrews Teenage Investments. It says the units, the last sentence says the units would be owned by Habitat for Humanity. I'd offer the correction, the units would be owned by T&H Investments because it's referring to the 34-unit building. The property, I think, is currently owned by Habitat, but they have an intent to sell a section to T&H, so it wouldn't be owned by Habitat. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think that everybody understand that during that meeting. Yeah, I think that's just a correction for the minutes.
And then if you go down, it says remonstrators, and then there are two very small paragraphs under it. The first one says Commission Member Richard. This asked about the maintenance of the units and protecting the neighborhood. I think that the response was that T&H answered they will maintain 34 apartment units. The reason I mention that is because it continues in the next paragraph to talk about habitat maintaining them. So just to clarify, I think there might have been some confusion that Habitat is the current landowner, but they're not owning or managing the 34 apartments that we gave approval to last. So if we could maybe just add teenage investments, answers that they will maintain the 34 apartment units.
Did you get all that, Marilyn?
I did.
And then lastly, Joe Mills, I would add of Habitat for Humanity, said, and then I would add homeowners. So Joe Mills for Habitat for Humanity said homeowners,
Wait a minute, you said Joe Mills of
Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
And then it said, Joe Mills said they are required. I would say Joe Mills said that the homeowners are required to sign an agreement regarding the ownership of the 6 future Habitat homes to be built. Just to clarify, Habitat is not owning or managing the 34 units. So Joe was responding to what the 6 future Habitat homes and homeowners would be asked to do.
Get all that, Marilyn?
I think so.
Joe, she won't be able to read my handwriting probably.
Okay, Steve, did you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Was there anything else in the minutes that you'd like to see? On the corrected minutes, do I hear entertain a motion?
I move to approve them with those 3 corrections.
Steve Bodie made a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Darnell, seconded your motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Who did that?
Ann Miller abstained. Okay, new business. I'd like to make an announcement here on the first item on the docket. Flowers by Dewey and Andrea Ashbrook are both very good customers of mine and friends, and I have had a conversation about her new building, and also in that we talked about signage. So I will be recusing myself and have no conversation or vote in this. So at this point, docket number PC 25006, Historic District Signage Approval, address 90 West Morgan Street, for owners Duetta Craney and Andrea Ashbrook, Dewey Flowers. And you want to come up? You want to sign in with your name? So you sent all this in to
Yes.
us? Can you tell us what you're doing?
Well, we were gonna do
I'm
the,
sorry, I didn't get her name.
Andrea Ashbrook.
Okay.
we were gonna do 2 signs, one on the front on the Morgan Street side and one on the Mulberry Street side above the doors. And we were gonna do 4 no parking signs on the side in the parking lot. But I'm not sure we're gonna do those now, because paying $150 per sign is costing us more than I'm paying for the signs. So we may just use the signs that are there, that are already on the building, if that's feasible. Can you explain that 150 a sign?
Well, they told me it would be 150 per sign that we put on the building, no matter the size.
Then the small signs.
Yeah, who told you that? Okay.
But I'm going to clarify, there is a sign permit application. A one-sided sign, its size is, going to be white, is that $150 fee per sign. If you have 6 of them, that's a $900 fee. That's where I'm at. So when it's a two-sided sign, as you would drive down the road and see a McDonald's sign, pylon sign, that's a two-sided sign, that's 2 times the money. And I shared that information with this young lady. That's in our sign permit application.
And when was, and I guess I don't remember, when was that passed for that? When and where was that passed?
Well, you updated your ordinance. Council did it last fall, and then you just did an amendment to that and added a table last month.
So we tabled it last month?
No. You approved a revision to the ordinance last fall.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a table that was omitted from what you approved in the fall. So last month, the council approved the ordinance with the addition of the table as part of the ordinance. City council.
And so it's $150
I apologize, I don't
per
remember
sign.
that.
That is correct, yes, sir. One-sided, yes,
So it's two-sided,
300.
2 times the money.
And that would be the same for like these no parking or customer-only parking
We're
signs?
talking a one-sided sign.
no matter what the size.
No matter what the size.
Okay.
Exactly. Does not make sense to me.
And the customer parking signs, because they have advertising in it, are being charged. If they were informational only, it would be, I would just say customer parking.
But since it says customer,
Since it says Flowers by Dewey on it,
Yeah.
we'll double take that off. I mean, we'll just take it off. Simple
so
as
if
that.
it just says customer only, then it's fine. So you're just asking approval for these signs, correct?
Pardon me?
You're just asking.
Yes.
For the 2 3-foot by 5-foot signs that identify above the
Yes,
door.
yes.
You don't happen to know the total square footage of the height and width of the front of the building and the side of the
I
building?
do.
Do you?
Yes, the front of her building, which faces Morgan Street,
Yeah.
it's 476 square feet. That's with glass in the front of the building, that's towards the front. The side, Mulberry Street side's 1,836 square feet. There's more space there. I mean, it easily meets signage.
So 1 square foot of sign per 10 square foot of building face is the maximum, and those, that greatly, your signs are much, much under that, so no problem with the sign.
That's correct.
So they can put much larger signs.
Yeah, and still be within the ordinance. So,
Any other questions, conversation? I'd like to entertain a motion for PC 25006.
Steve Bodie, I would move that we approve the application for the 2 identifying signs above the 2 doors for Flowers at Dewey.
I second.
Steve Bodie made the motion, and Miller seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andrea. Welcome back to downtown.
Yeah.
Next up, docket number PC 25007, Historic District signage approval. Address is 78 North Main Street. Owner of this is Artesian Group. It's presented by Victoria Stanger, tenant for Urban Market. Sign in and state your name.
Victoria Stanger.
Okay, tell us what you have, Victoria.
Basically, I'm just seeking approval for sign, just like I was by doing.
It's two-sided, right? You'll have printing on both sides.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Victoria, do you know the dimensions of the sign? I saw your submittal and it says it's approximately 37 inches by 27. But particularly with signs that extend out from the building, there's a maximum they're supposed to stick out. Do you happen to know what the total dimension is?
6.84 square feet.
Excuse me?
6.84 square footage of the sign.
But I mean, it extends out, and the ordinance says that signs that stick out over the sidewalk should be no more than 3 feet from the building, 36 inches. So I was just wondering, with the metal work and how far it would hang out from the building.
So the little hanger was already there, and it did not exceed any further than any of the other signs on that side.
That neat metal hanger is
That was
present.
already on the building.
This was the reporter times for a long time.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Do you know if it is more than 8 feet above our heads when we walk by?
Steve, it's definitely a lot higher than that. And I know 8 feet is the minimum.
Yeah.
It's, I was there today, it's more than 10 or 11.
So I say we had a 10-foot ladder whenever we put it up to take that photo. So, and we had to stand at the very top of it.
It's
So-
actually on the face of the second floor. Yeah. And that square footage on the front of that building is 432 square feet.
No problem with the sign, the size of that sign, the building frontage.
I make a motion to approve docket number 25007. This is Ann Miller.
I'll second that.
Caleb Forrester made the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Toward the end of new business, does anybody have any discussion that you want to have at this time?
Bob and Gary, is there any way we can get the application, like, I don't, this doesn't happen that often, but for downtown signs, that the applicant petitioner should write on there the dimensions of the building, the total square footage of the face, total square footage of the sign, so that we don't have to, that you could review that and indicate to us what it is. You know, would it be helpful to have it on the application in some fashion?
Look at that and see if we can take that application and maybe add some information to that.
I see other planning commissions procedure that the applicant comes in and meets with, in our case, Bob or Lisa, and explain to them, they hand them the paperwork, here's what it says, where your signage needs to be, and help them in the process rather than just a piece of paper.
Yeah. It'd just be nice if what is submitted to us shows, I mean, the drawing, it's hard to pick it up, but for flowers at Dewey's Flowers, it's got the dimensions of the building, I can really like read it. And then I got to do do my math and stuff. It would be nice if that was just right there. There's the square footage of the face of the building. Here's the square footage of the sign we're requesting. Yes or no. It would just require that you all make sure that seems accurate.
You had the case with the Dewey sign, just as we said a few minutes ago. If it would just been informational, it would have saved her $450. So, yeah.
I'd still love to get any packet you can provide us, Bob, with what a petitioner receives when they come into the office, be it downtown issues or a regular plat approval or something. I'd love to have you present to us what they receive, what information you give them, just so that I can know more about what they're receiving and what they should be prepared to do when they arrive. And maybe that would lead me to talk with us, my fellow commissioners, about what, if anything more, we could try to indicate we need so that we could make more informed decisions. I'll stop.
Any conversation on that, or Rick, you've got something you want to say?
Not related to that, but if, I know in February we were discussing making changes to the mailing requirements, but I believe Mr. Coffey was not present in February, so we weren't 100% certain how to proceed with that. So I would, whatever that next step would be, if we need to put that on our agenda for next month, could we get a proposal to amend that requirement? And
So
then-
your question is to Mr. Coffey, what we need to do to proceed?
Yeah, yes.
Gail was
So-
talking about,
So what you would need to do is you would need to get it on your agenda as an agenda item. You would then make a recommendation to the city council that your ordinance be amended to whatever type of mailing that you're wanting to suggest. And then the city council would have to pass the change to the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay? So you got to recommend it first, and then it goes to the council. It'll be up to them whether or not they're going to do it. Okay?
So could I appoint Rick to oversee that and put something together for our next meeting?
Good, yeah.
Rick, would you like to?
I can do that.
Okay.
any way that can be shared with us in advance? So
Now that's go through you, Mr. Coffey.
the wording to be able to describe.
Yeah, I would want to look at it, I would want to look at it before you guys are going to vote on it.
Yeah.
So Rick, you could put something together and he
Sure.
get with you outside of here.
Sure.
Rick, you put something together and send it to Dale, and that way you can work back and forth with him. Jim, do you have?
Yeah, I got, in line with that, if you go down the ordinance, the petitioner has to get that all certified by a notary, correct? That he's done all this stuff. If you go down that ordinance to H, they have to have a notarized thing that they've taken care of all that.
They have to sign an affidavit that is notarized that says they have complied with all the requirements for notification.
I just think that's a little over the top too, personally. I mean, notary's hard to get.
I think that's state statute, so you're not going to be able to change that.
Okay, all right.
So if Rick, if you'll work with Dale on that, and that way he's had an opportunity to look at that, we'll put that on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
And then you can come back with the finished product that you and Dale have worked on and present that to the planning commission, and then we vote on that, and then we send it on to council. Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that we'd like to discuss this evening? Well, if we have nothing else, Rick,
Motion to adjourn?
Rick makes a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is May the 28th, 2025 at 7 o'clock.
May 27th, which is Tuesday.
Because we're not meeting on the Memorial Day. So, city council meets on the 27th, because that's a Tuesday after Memorial Day. You guys meet the following day on the 28th, which is a Wednesday.
Oh, so so we're meeting on Wednesday. And it says here, the agenda, it's Tuesday.
It says Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Somebody can get in our parking lot. So, I don't know, it's all along, you know, right there. So,